70% of all ailments that you go to the doctor for and that you go to hospital for especially, okay, 70% are diet related. Another thing, 64% of Britons are overweight, okay, of which 1 in 4 are actually clinically obese. That makes us in the UK the fattest country in the EU, okay? And again, all because diet related. One of the fantastic films I've watched when researching a lot of these things, because I don't do anything by half, I do a lot of research. When I researched this was watching one of the films by Jamie Oliver, and about the masses and masses of complications that sugar, and especially children who are overeating sugar, are having, okay? We're going to dedicate a whole program when I'm going to get all these things together and give you all the facts. And a couple of really good documentaries that I've seen. I'll give links to them or the titles and where you can see them, etc. But it is a worldwide now phenomenon, and especially in the West. And of course the last fact is that by the year 2035, estimates say that 3 out of 4 adults could be overweight and obese if we don't do something about it. So that's why one of the first things we're tackling in this program, in this chain of events in my life from 2017, is going to be diet. And in 2017, I'm going to start living my life differently. We're going to reboot my digestive system back to factory settings. Now, when I was a child, my digestive system worked perfectly, and over the years, we've poisoned it as I've gone on, okay? So the main goal is to actually flush out my system and get it working as it should. Now, the byproduct of this, okay, is the fact that I'm actually going to lose weight. But that's not the goal. The goal originally is to actually flush out my system, right? Call it a detox. It's a bit more drastic than a detox. But this is a way of life change. This is going to get my system back to how it should be working, how nature intended. And then from then on, I'm going to be eating and drinking a totally different range of things than I have been doing so far. So does this mean that I'm never going to have another chocolate bar? Does this mean that I'm never going to have another coffee? Does this mean that I'm going to never have another pie or a sausage roll? No, of course it's not. But what it is going to mean is that I'm not going to make a habit of it. So eventually, once after this 2.5 months is up, then we're going to start, during that we're going to start bringing back to normal food, okay? And if we are going to have a coffee, or I'm going to have a coffee, it's going to be just one. So the second part of this reboot that we're going to talk about is actually going to be to keep ridding my body of the sugars. So we'll come to that. Will I become a vegetarian? No, I'm going to have meat, but only maybe once or twice a week. Not to the extent that we're having meat and veg and potatoes and everything else 5-6 nights of the week. That's not going to happen. This is going to be a total way of life. So, finally, what is the reboot all about? The reboot is basically about 2 things: macronutrients and micronutrients. What's the difference? Okay, macronutrients are things like carbohydrates, sugars, proteins and fats. Okay, that's macronutrients, okay? Micronutrients is everything else. You get macronutrients include minerals such as fluoride, selenium, and I'm reading this, sodium, iodine, copper and zinc. They also include vitamins such as C, A, D, E and K, as well as the B complex vitamins, okay? So the micronutrients are all the vitamins and minerals, the little tiny things that your body needs to work, okay, and to work properly. Yes, okay, so the macronutrients, the fats, the proteins, the carbohydrates, they're the fuel that your body needs, but they're not going to run it all perfectly. Your body is not running, in fact my body is not running at all how it should, because I'm robbing it of the micronutrients that I should be having, okay? Imagine it like a racing car. A racing car is going to need loads of fuel, okay? But without the oil, without the little bit of oil that makes the whole thing go, doesn't matter how much fuel you're going to have, you can put more and more and more fuel in it, you're just wrecking the engine. I am wrecking my engine, and that stops in a week or so's time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blast my digestive system with these micronutrients, okay? I'm almost going to, if you will, overdose on these things because I'm going to be taking so much, okay? To get my digestive system back onto the right path. Now, this is not just a series of taking a handful of vitamins and minerals. That just doesn't seem to work in the same way as taking all the fruits and vegetables and things that we've got, right? We've got shed loads of stuff here because we've been practicing for a little while. As a rule, here in the West, we only take in, of the amount of food we eat, only 5% is actually through fruits and vegetables, when it should be actually 50% or more quite happily. Okay, yes, you need your carbohydrates, yes, you need your proteins, but we are in no way having enough micronutrients. So what I'm going to do is totally readdress the balance. So for about 30 days, I'm going to be blasting my body with all these micronutrients, okay, 100%. So I'm not going to be taking any carbohydrates, I'm going to be taking a little protein in the way of all sorts of nuts and that kind of thing. But basically we're going to be keeping vegetables to 80%, and fruits to 20%. Going to try and keep the sugars down as much as possible, but we are going to need some sugars if I'm not taking many carbohydrates, okay? Now, carbohydrates are in vegetables as well, so through that source I'll be taking carbohydrates, but nothing through potatoes and bread and all that sort of stuff at all. Okay, so I hear you asking yourself, why juice? Why not just eat salads? And yes, you could just eat salads. And a lot of diets work quite successfully to a certain extent on just salads. But the idea is not that I'm just going to go on a diet. The idea is I'm rebooting my system. And when you physically see, as we're going to in later videos, when you see us making juices and the vast amount of vegetables that go into making just a couple of glasses of juice, there is no physical way that you could eat all that kind of fruit and veg that I'm going to be consuming the juice of in a day. I'd bloat up, right? There's just no way it could do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to juice these things and get all the micronutrients out of the vegetables and the fruits, and we're going to drink that. So I'm going to be drinking to 2 or 3 or 4 litres of liquid a day just to flush myself out. So that's going to be interesting as well. So what about all the fibre? I can hear you saying, well, okay, if we're just juicing, we're getting rid of a lot of the fibre, and the fibre is intrinsic on keeping good bowel movements and everything else. First of all, there'll hopefully be very little bowel movements because I'm basically going to be just drinking juice, okay? Now, I'll keep monitoring and keep telling you what's going on, because in case you want to do this, you're going to want to know what's going to happen. Well, the first proper week of the diet, because there's a pre-diet as well, as it were, pre-reboot, the first proper week where I'm going into it really hard, I've decided to take a week off because I don't want to have various accidents at work or whether I am, so I don't want to be too far away from a toilet if that happens. Now, we'll tell you this as we go on, and I'm going to come up with the dates in a little way. So let's talk about fibre, dietary fibre. Dietary fibre is actually a form of carbohydrate that does not get digested by enzymes in the small intestines, okay? And so its sugar units are not absorbed into the bloodstream, okay? Now, dietary fibre is therefore known as non-glycemic. Okay, so, whoa, I hear you say, what does non-glycemic mean? Okay, so we all have sugar in the form of glucose, which is the purest form of sugar, in our systems, in our blood, okay? We have to have that, because that is the fuel that our body needs, especially like the brain. The brain needs constant supply of sugar, and the easiest way to get that, apart from pure sugar itself, which, as I already said, in nature was very rare, but apart from that, the body has designed and evolved into a system where it takes it from carbohydrates, okay, for our cells to use. So, because carbohydrates are the closest form of glucose, we're able to use carbs quickly and easily to maintain our source of energy. So the glycemic index is a measure of how quickly blood glucose levels rise after we digest something, okay? So for instance, the easiest thing is if we take glucose ourselves, pure glucose in tablet form or whatever, okay, the glycemic index of glucose is 100, okay, because it very, very quickly gets absorbed into the system and our blood sugar level rises very, very quickly. And if you're diabetic, you know about these kind of things. If you're not, then if you're having a diet, you still need to learn about these things so that you understand what's going on, okay? So a low glycemic index is good, and that's what we normally want. That's what our bodies should have, because that means that it gives the body a slow burn. Now, what happens is the fiber in fruits, such as apples and that kind of thing, the fiber inside the apple is the thing that stops the sugar in the apple hitting our bloodstream straight away. So it gives it a slow burn. How can I explain that? Imagine you're having a barbecue. And if you have a barbecue, you actually have charcoal to cook the food with rather than petrol. Yes, you can put petrol on it, but when you light that petrol, it'll go up straight away. You're not going to be able to cook anything on that. You want a slow burn, okay? And that's the same thing our body needs. Our body needs a slow burn. The fantastic amounts of sugar that we intake at the moment means that we have these dips and these rises in our blood sugar levels, which give us the change in moods and all the change in energy levels that we constantly get fluctuated up and down throughout the day. Okay, now things like kidney beans, lentils, almonds, peanuts, durum wheat and spelt wheat, for instance, all these kind of things have a very, very low glycemic index of under 55, okay? And these things are the things that we should be eating constantly, which give our body very much of a slow burn. So we've got constant energy levels all the way through the day. So fiber also provides fuel for a healthy intestines, for a healthy gut, because it's the fiber that the bacteria help to digest, and the product of that is the B12 vitamins, okay? And these help to release the fatty acids from our system. So altogether promoting better motions through the body and a healthy gut. Fiber also speeds up the transit of all the toxins and everything through our system, okay, which makes, again, flushing all our system out of the bad things that we want to get rid of, okay? So by taking in less fiber, we're giving the intestines less work so that they can absorb the nutrients quickly. That's the whole point of the juice diet. But by not taking the fiber, because we're going to be throwing the fiber out, actually, once we start juicing, all the fiber from all these pomegranates and apples and vegetables that we're having, okay, is going to be wasted, okay, that's going to be put out somewhere else, all right, but we're just going to drink the juice. And the juice is going to be with all the micronutrients and the sugars, okay? So yes, so we're increasing our sugar intake, but because we're taking no carbohydrates from other sources, we're going to need that sugar in order to keep going, to keep working. So yes, the fact that we're intaking a lot of natural sugars to a certain extent is going to be a bit of a problem, but we're going to tackle that in the second part of the reboot, okay? Where we get our blood sugar more under control. Okay, but remember, the main aspect of this first month of the reboot is to actually fill our bodies, or my body particularly, with micronutrients. That's the number one aspect of this, just to bring all those micronutrients and the chemicals and minerals and things, vitamins, back into the system that we need. Remember, thanks for watching, and if you like or you don't like, please press the button down below. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does keep you informed. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.